Going over the final trades from yesterday, we made the video yesterday with 1 hour left in the trading day, and the market continued to rally as we anticipated up here past these high points in the S&P weekly highs, closed at the weekly highs. Cobra 3 E-mini S&P plus 950 on the day. Cobra 3 E-mini NASDAQ plus 1715 on the day. You see there was during this week, Cobra 3 E-mini NASDAQ, it traded every single day, and it was lost 625, was up 2300, lost 625, lost 625, and up 1715. So good week overall, about 2800 I think. You see the two winners. The two winners add up to about 4,000, and the three losses add up. The two winners add up to about 4,000, and the three losses add up to about 1,800. So good trading week in Cobra 3. New equity peaks in this strategy. Let's take a look at that. And you see the choppy nature of a real trading equity curve and how it's done really well over the last, this is the last 7 or 8 months. Plus 15, 440, $5,000 drawdown, 179 average trade profit. This is with $25 round turn slippage and commission. Very tight stop loss, so low percentage of winners. We cut those losses, ride those profits. Yesterday it came close, I guess you could say, to being stopped out. It was in at 10.734.25. The low was 10.17.14.75. About 10 points away from the stop loss. Actually, the low here is set at 10.713. So 9 points away from the stop loss. It only has a 30-point stop loss, though. So you cut your losses, maximum of 1 trade per day. And that is this Cobra 3 NQ strategy that we talk about quite a bit. And it's part of the Stock Index 19 portfolio. I'm going to pull the portfolio calculator in here. So the Stock Index portfolio 19 is at an equity peak after yesterday's trades. It trades 2 contracts of Cobra 3 NQ, 2 contracts of Tick Count Trend 2 V2 1M and 5M, and then 2 contracts of Tick Pulse V12 ES. And so yesterday it was up 56.80 because it trades 2 contracts of Cobra 3 NQ, and then it also trades adaptive moving average, which did well yesterday. And so it is up 63.60 on the month, and most of that was yesterday's gains. Like we talked about earlier in the week, a lot of times the most amount of profits are made in the shortest period of time. So if you're trading the 19 system stock index portfolio, these are the results. It's one of the highlights. This all 77 strategy access portfolio is in a $9,600 drawdown. Let's see what yesterday it was down 71.25. It had a strong start to the week, and then Thursday was a lot of loss, a lot of choppiness in the metals, and so minus 307.50 on the week after a strong start. And so let's look at the overall results for this setup. All 77 is up 3,200 on the month, and in a $9,000 drawdown from its recent equity peaks. It made an equity peak. Actually made an equity peak on Tuesday and has gone into this drawdown since Tuesday. So those are the trades on All Strategy Access 77. This is our weekend update. I want to continue on with the portfolios. We did the 19 system stock index portfolio. Let's look at the 36 system stock index portfolio. It is up 58.60 on the month. Yesterday it was up 1527.50, and on the week, if you highlight those, you see it's up 7,000 on the week. Let's go to the next portfolio on our list, which is the 200K portfolio. The 200K portfolio ends the week at equity peaks. It trades the 19 system stock index portfolio with some additional commodity strategies you see listed here. And so it is actually a 40 strategy portfolio with 44 contracts, because 4 of those strategies trade 2 contracts instead of 1, and it's up 55.40 on the month. Yesterday it was up 57.40. Let's go over to the 25K portfolio. It's working its way towards an equity peak. It's only in a $425 drawdown. Yesterday it only traded Cobra 3, and so you can see how it did on the week. Kind of a slow week until Friday. Ended the week on a strong note, plus 1465 on the week, and it is, let's see where it is on the month. On the month it is plus 1870. It's been a little slow in here, but steady, and so it hasn't done terrible, and it hasn't done. It hasn't run up to equity peaks. It hasn't been pegging equity peaks the way it did. Let me show you when you know something's pegging equity peaks. Right here, when you see all these blue lines hitting new equity peaks there, and then it goes through cycles where the drawdown is longer, but it's running back up here. It made this drawdown, lots of little drawdown spikes in here, and now it's back here, just really close to new equity peaks. And so a lot of these portfolios have not had this scenario where we're hitting equity peaks and just pounding away at equity peaks lately. We've gone through drawdowns and equity peaks, a little bit of drawdown and equity peak, and so we're due for a cycle where we just hit equity peaks. We're due for a cycle where we hit equity peaks. So looking for that, and looking for that in the 25K, 50K portfolio. Let's go back up here to the next portfolio, the micro stock index and gold portfolio. This takes 1/10 of these strategies traded on the minis or the gold futures contract, or the mini E-mini S&P E-mini NASDAQ. Takes 1/10 of those values. It's an $827.50 drawdown. On the month, it is, you could trade these with the minis instead of the micros and multiply everything by 10. So for example, last month this would have been the best portfolio if you traded the minis and the gold contract. It would be plus 32,000. So this is 1/10 of that, 3219. This month it's 309, which would be 3,000 if you're trading the minis and the full gold contract. Yesterday it was down 71.25, and on the week it's right at break even on the week. We had some of the strategies this week. Some of the strategies I noticed the micros were different. The results were different than the minis, and I'm working on some adjustments for those. For example, yesterday, Cobra 3 E-mini NASDAQ is in this portfolio, and for whatever reason, it did not take this trade in the micro. And so what I'm doing is I'm adjusting the strategies so that I add additional data series so that the micro contracts will look at the minis for the patterns and not look at the micros, because it's a less liquid contract and it doesn't take the same trade sometimes. So I'm adjusting this. The SR counter trends also, let me find some SR counter trends. So the SR counter trend to V2M, 5M on the E-mini NASDAQ this week, 1M, 5M, and 15M. Let me go back over this. I'm making some adjustments. These hit profit targets in the minis, but in the micros it did not get this low. The calculation for the micros was, see, it bought this low tick, 10.4575. The low is 10.545.75, and the price for that on the micros was 10.4550. So then it got long here at this point, and it ended up being a loss on the day because it did not get this low. So I'm adjusting the micros to do calculations based on the minis, and over time these differences should average out, but I want to make sure they match. So we can't count on them to average out. We can't count on scenarios where the micros get the winner and the mini has the loser. So we have to we want these to match, and so even when I adjust these strategies so that the micro strategies look at the minis, there can still be some differences. If the stop loss can only be based on the Data 1 series, and so sometimes that micro could tick one tick lower than the mini, so there could still be differences. But over time, I believe those will average out, but we still want to get as close as possible. And so I'm making some adjustment. If you have the micro portfolios, I'm working on that as fast as I can to get that to you so you can have a more consistent strategy that matches the minis. So let's take a look at three of their other portfolios. These are some of our auxiliary portfolios. We don't talk about these as much, but these are good good portfolios as well. 100K day trade. It only trades day trade strategies. It's in a $9,000 drawdown. Good time to start that strategy. Start that portfolio. It's down 1597.50 on the month. Had a nice June. Let's look at the yesterday. It had a nice day, 44.65, and on the week took about break even on the week. So Thursday was a tough day for that portfolio. The SR counter trends really did well the first 3 months of the year, and then since then they haven't done as well. So the cycle in the SR counter trends is down, which affects some of these portfolios more than others. Liquid day trade portfolio, $10,000 drawdown, and it is down 661. This also trades the SR counter trends, and so you see how well this did the first 3 months of the year, and how it's minus 2,000 the last 4 months, and so it has less diversity. And let's take a look here what it did. And so this week it was minus 872.50 on the week. Let's look at the SR counter trend portfolio. This is the one main strategy that we're talking about that struggled the last few months. SR counter trend 2, 3, 4. All the SR counter trends that we have. It's in a $19,000 drawdown. If you'd like to get in near a worst case drawdown, this is the setup to take a look at. Now it was very strong first 3 months of the year, very steady. And it did well during high volatility. The last 4 months, though, it is down 17,435. Let's look at the drawdown curve. So you see this one, it pegs equity peaks up here during the pandemic, and right now it's been going through a drawdown. So it's done this in the past, and you can see getting in on drawdowns is one of the best ways to start a set of portfolios. It makes you more comfortable to trade a portfolio that's at equity peaks, but it makes more sense to start a strategy during a drawdown. So that way you have a buffer for a worst case drawdown, and then you get that run up. You can line up to catch the cycle if it's going to run up again. And so those are the portfolios. It's weekend analysis of the portfolios, the trades. Finish going over the trades from yesterday. So take a look at adaptive moving average plus 1,300 on the day. It took a hit at the very beginning of the day, down over $1,000. This has a $2,000 stop loss, so 31.4850. The low was 31.2650, so it's down about $1,100 on this trade. You think, should I get out of this? Why do we buy this? It goes straight down. And it was interesting to watch the open yesterday because the advanced decline line, while the market was going down, the advanced decline line was shooting higher. And so it almost looked like a very narrow concerted effort to sell or stop. You could call this a stop running effort by the market to push the market down while the internals zoomed higher. The advanced decline line zoomed higher while the market was selling. So it was a very interesting dynamic to watch. You see there's a concerted effort this week to sell the market. Every day this week there is a concerted effort to sell this market at some point. As a small trader, this feels like stop runs, but we get these market at all-time highs, and you see Tuesday you see selling, Wednesday you see selling, Thursday you see selling, Friday you see this little bit of selling. And so it was an interesting week. You want to buying this market because the trend is higher is typically the best way, but these sell-offs means you have to buy very steep dips, and most of the time the market doesn't have steep dips, it has narrow dips. So most of the time we buy more narrow dips, and then these pullbacks can be so steep you get stopped out. And so that can happen as well. Adaptive moving average did a good job late in the week catching this down move, then this up move, and then this up move. And so this is what I'm looking at, though, these concerted efforts to sell 4 days in a row, but then the market closes on its weekly highs, and the ES and the NASDAQ at all-time highs. So tricky tape, but we could see more selling. We could see more volatility up here as the market continues to move higher and higher. At some point, it can't just keep going straight up, but the trend truly is your friend, and you have to stay with it because it's been very hard to short this market. So that's adaptive moving average, some basic market analysis, and want to take a look at the rest of the trades on the week. There's only 3 in this workspace. That's why the 19 system portfolio did so well yesterday, because it trades 1 Cobra 3 ES, 1 adaptive moving average, and 2 Cobra 3 NQs. So all 3 of those were winners in the 19 system stock index portfolio. The 36 system stock index portfolio includes everything in this workspace as well as this workspace. 1 contract of everything in this workspace plus 1 contract of everything in this workspace except for Tick Pulse NQ and 60-minute breakout NQ, which did not trade. So AT 2019 yesterday was up 13.12.50, while a lot of other strategies, this is what we're talking about, this concerted effort to sell. At the open, our stop loss was a little too tight. It would have been better to wait for a bigger dip, but we're following our strategies. And it's not part of the playbook to trade bigger dips right now, because that doesn't really work overall. On any given day, something else could work better, but you have to be consistent in your approach. And so AT 2020 minus 725 on the day. Asia 4 stopped out near the lows, minus 1,025. SR counter trend 2 E-mini NASDAQ minus 825. SR counter trend 2 V2 1M NQ minus 825. 5M plus 475. The 15-minute minus 825. So those were the trades that were in the All Strategy Access 2, part of the 36 system portfolio, which still had an up day in spite of all this, because the Cobra 3's adaptive moving average in AT 2019 did so well. And All Strategy Access 3, Cobra Euro 4 plus 106.25, Asia Gold 4 minus 390, held the position over the weekend. Asia Gold 4 short minus 525. Gold just Gold really pulls back a lot. It makes highs and pulls back quite a bit, and so there's a lot of volatility in gold. Doesn't go straight up, that's for sure. And let's see, let's look at the rest of these strategies. Some of these are scrolled back, so I'm scrolling to the end. And All Strategy Access 4, there was Cobra Crude. That was a nice trade yesterday, plus 975. The Cobra strategies in general are a good strategy. Has been a good strategy in this type of market. And we have, that's the only trade yesterday in this workspace, besides Asia Gold 4 2020, minus 390. All Strategy Access 5, plus 475 on silver, SR counter trend 2 V2 5M silver. All Strategy Access 6, ES after hours, minus 1325. Stopped out near the lows on this one again, and so several strategies in a row yesterday were stopped out near these lows, either overnight or during the day session. And cap fill in reverse has done better on the long side. It lost on the short side, minus 525. And 60-minute breakout did not take any short trades yesterday. So those are the trades on the week, the setups for the day yesterday, and the portfolios as we end the week where we are at the equity peaks. 25K portfolio, only trade yesterday was Cobra 3 NQ, plus 1750. So those are the setups for the week ending July the 10th, 2020.